Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in for the session, Planning for Success. Today, we are going to talk about how we can make our Special Olympics communities function successfully, be successful, making it a good experience for volunteers, athletes. And here are some notes. Virtual meeting format. All participants are requested to have their mic muted during the presentation. There will be a question period at the end. At this time, I will invite you to unmute your mic to chat. You can also type your questions in the chat, and Chris and we will take questions at the end. So here is the agenda. We had a greeting and land acknowledgement, successful communities, planning for success, finance and budget, risk management, communication, volunteer and coach training, succession planning, and in the end, Q&A. This is our district map, and I thought we should share this. Like many communities at many times have the question that which is or what is our district. So we have Northwest Ontario and communities under that, Central Ontario, Southwestern Ontario, Northeast Ontario, Eastern Ontario, Greater Toronto Area, and South Central Ontario. Just in case you are a new volunteer, new member in your community, and you are not sure what district, you can ask your council member or you can connect with a staff member. But always keep this map handy. Planning for success. Here we go. Working together for success. So volunteers and coaches need to be able to work collaboratively. Put the athletes first. Creating a safe and productive atmosphere leads to creativity, growth, and effective working groups. We all know the strong base of our Special Olympics community is our volunteers, administrative volunteers, and coaching volunteers. So we have to create communities where everyone feels supported and work together. Working together on administration, coaching, and training. And then we can focus completely on growth and development. We have to make our communities safe and welcoming. Support and provide guidance to all our members, administrative volunteers, and coaches. There are numerous resources on our website for coaches, for coaching, for council members, for all administrative volunteers. So you can access those and provide those to all your members and new members. And when in doubt, you can always connect with a staff member, your PC, or known as program consultant. Please ensure that athletes and volunteers are not at risk and not prevented from participating for the fear of risk. So, Chris, second one. Positive environment leads to lower turnover, open sharing of ideas and skills, easier recruitment, early identification of issues and problems. In the positive environment, volunteer will not only stay, but they will bring more volunteers. They will invite their family and friends. Volunteers will be more comfortable to bring their ideas to the table. Will also create environment for improved decision making. Will create more opportunities for participation and competition for our athletes. Always encourage input. We'll go back to the previous slide and still just a few more things. Always encourage input from membership, volunteers, athletes, families, and sponsors. I know many communities have one or more committed local sponsors. So please invite them to the table at some of your meetings or take their input. Host council meetings, circular reports, and minutes. This will ensure stronger community council and functioning of the Special Olympics community. This will help us to identify any challenges early on, and one can work together on these challenges. And this will definitely make smooth running of our communities. Next one. So here are different council positions: athlete representative, coach representative, community coordinator, fundraising coordinator, parent liaison, public relation coordinator, community registrar, secretary, sports technical coordinator, transition coordinator, treasurer, volunteer coordinator. Now, all the councils may or may not have all the positions, but I always feel it's recommended that you have more members and distribute the workload among all the volunteers. We know it's very common in our communities that one member wears too many hats and can feel burnout. So there are a number of positions, and encourage uh, members, volunteers to take different roles. Thanks, Chris. Next one. Now we'll go to finance and budget. Very important to run any community, any program. So how we do reporting and follow up on finance. Finance and budgets, all monies raised using the Special Olympics Ontario name belongs to the organization and are in trust to the community for the administration and delivery of its programs. All treasurers and signing officers have fiduciary responsibility to Special Olympics Ontario. As you all may know, every penny raised in the name of Special Olympics Ontario does belong to Special Olympics Ontario and its communities, and should be used for the purpose of developing programs, administration purpose, but only for Special Olympics Ontario and its communities. Next, please. Centralized banking. Special Olympics Ontario utilizes a centralized banking system for all of its communities' accounts. And this is so because Canada Revenue Agency requires that the charity be able to account for all revenue and expenses made in its name and under its charitable name. So all communities are requested, all funds, all monies raised, all deposits be sent to provincial office with a deposit form, and it takes 5 business days to be deposited in your community account. Next. Now, financial reporting. Treasurers are expected to submit a financial report to the community council at each council meeting and upon request when needed. A copy should be forwarded to the program consultant, your PC, or previously known as DD, your district developer. Treasurers are expected to submit a year-end financial report to their program consultant in July of each year, so end of the year, financial year. Next one. What should your report include? Now, financial report should include revenue totals and brief description of revenues, expense totals and a brief description of expenses, your bank balances, and list of any outstanding transactions, those checks which have been given or issued but not yet cleared from your account. Now, format to be used. All commercially available accounting software programs can be used, will produce an income statement or statement of revenues and expenses. So you can use any software that you like if you are comfortable with and if you're in accounting profession. If not, Special Olympics Ontario has an Excel spreadsheet available for use by its communities to track financial transactions, and which can provide an income statement if commercially available software is not being used. So use your own software, or you can use the spreadsheet which we have provided. It's on the resource section under accounts. Here is the example. This is how your expense or your account statement can look. Uh, and this is on our resource library. So you can always use this. And if not, if you have any other software, you can use your own software, but be mindful of what all has to be included. as in our previous slide. Next, Chris.
All right. Thank you, Pratima, for the intro there. We're going to start talking about risk management. I'm getting a little bit of an echo, so if perfect, someone's muted their mic. Awesome. Thank you so much. So risk management is a very important part of planning for success in the Special Olympics Ontario community. All members of the organization, staff, coaches, trainers, officials, and participants have different levels of responsibility, and we're going to talk a little bit about that now. So a big thing about risk management is as incident reports. So all Special Olympics members are covered by Special Olympics insurance, assuming that we're all following our policies and procedures. But there is an element of personal responsibility if we're not following those policies and procedures. So in the case of any incident or a near miss, we encourage all witnesses, not just the person who's running the event, to fill out the form, which is located on our website under the resources website. This is very important as we strive to maintain all of our records. We recently had someone come back at us from something that happened in 2017, and because we had all of these incident reports filled out, we were able to address that appropriately. But if we don't have the proper documentation and checklists and insurance certificates for all of our events, we can get into some trouble. So all of these things, insurance, certificates of insurance are available on our website, and our program consultants, or PCs, are here to help you when you are running an event to make sure everything is in line if this is one of your first times doing that. So here are some different categories of risk management, and I want to draw particular attention to conflict of interest. This is a big issue for executive members who are also coaches in certain sports or have children that participate in sports, especially when it comes to budgetary issues. So, you need to make sure you're acknowledging perceived conflict of interest and make a commitment to transparency. And each council member with perceived conflict of interest should recuse themselves from those types of discussions. Disciplinary action. What constitutes a disciplinary action? We have athlete code of conducts and volunteer code of conducts on our website, and they should be, if there is a suspension notice given to an athlete, it should clearly cite where the athlete code of conduct or volunteer code of conduct infraction occurred. And it should also clearly state the start and end date of the suspension, as well as clearly outline the re-entry conditions. For example, a written apology that accepts responsibility for the action, shows remorse, commits to not repeating said actions again, and signs the code of conduct. These conditions must be adhered to by the council and the member, and the notice should also indicate whether this would be brought into consideration for an endorsement or major games. So a little bit more on accident and incident reports. So again, to be specific about those accident and incident reports, they need to be filled out within 36 hours following any of the following incidents that are listed below. So minor medical injury, major medical emergency, physical injury, code of conduct violations, theft, behavioral incident, inappropriate conduct, property damage, spectator incident, or assault. So all of these are major incidents, and the rule is, when in doubt, please fill out an incident report. That gets sent directly to your program consultant as well as Cheryl, and we can follow up if necessary. Registration. So obviously all athletes must be registered and must have an SOO number before they participate in any Special Olympics activity. This is, again, to make sure that we've covered all our bases when it comes to insurance. And if you are a volunteer and you know that you are accepting a participant without registration, you may be taking on that liability on yourself. So we really want to make sure that you're aware of your participants and to make sure that they're registered, just so that you, as the volunteer, are protected. Emergency medical preparedness. So always having a medical form on site for each athlete. This is easier than ever now with our Google Drives that we use as a community. Emergency action plans should always be prepared and available to all volunteers at the activities. And this is even more important now. I shouldn't say more important, but we've added another element to that with the COVID-19. And it's always been our responsibility as coaches and volunteers to ensure that we have a safe environment for our athletes. And now with that new variable of COVID-19, we're including that in our planning. So it's a little bit more work, but it's the same responsibility as it's always been to make sure the places, the activity is safe for everyone participating. And those emergency action plans should also clearly indicate, whose task is what in the event of an emergency, who's calling the emergency services, who's in charge of the athlete supervision, who's in charge of first aid. Are there any questions on the risk management part there? I know it's we just sort of touched high level on that. Cheryl has a more in-depth presentation focusing entirely on risk management, which I definitely recommend. Okay, we can continue on. So communication, we just have one slide on communication, which is, it's very important. Effective communication is a part and parcel of any successful organization. Communication should always be free from barriers, and it's a two-way process. I always think of it as there's two variables in the situation: how I'm communicating the information and how the person on the other end is receiving it, and the only thing that I can control is how I'm communicating it. So I try to make the message clear, concise, and avoid any unnecessary details. Planning for success, coach and volunteer training. This is my favorite part. Volunteers, we want to make sure that they are excelling in what they're doing and they have an opportunity for growth. So we have a ton of e-learning courses on solearn.ca. And so we have volunteer and coach training. So we have our NCCP training, but we also have our volunteer training on SO Learn for the different roles that you might be taking on a council. So treasurer, volunteer coordinator, registrar, as well as many more. So coach training is something I'm pretty passionate about. Special Olympics is a sport organization, and we do have athletes that want to do their best and excel and reach their goals. And every athlete that wants to do that, of course, deserves a certified coach. So when you come on as a Special Olympics coach, you have 1 year before you are required to take your Special Olympics Canada coaching course. It's a 1-day course. It's super informative, and it's definitely appreciated by the athletes. And it says learning is a key coaching attribute. It's every coach should be a lifelong learner. And as a coach myself, once you stop learning, you're pretty much done with coaching. So you always need to be seeking out those PD opportunities, and we as an organization try to provide those to our coaches and volunteers. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Pratima. Unless there are any questions about the training, I would be happy to answer them.
No questions. Any questions? Okay, I'm echoing now.
You're echoing now?
Yeah. No. So planning for succession, the other very important part that or important topic we have discussed in past and numerous time with our communities is succession planning. We know our community council and community members, we have so many council members, and sometimes it's suddenly they leave What happened? Chris, the PowerPoint disappeared. Hey, Chris.
Sorry, Pratima, what did you say?
PowerPoint disappeared.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, guys, about some technical problem. But meantime, if you have any questions on so far discussed topic, please let us know. Any questions?
The meeting kicked me out there, Pratima. That's what happened.
Oh,
So let me just reshare
okay.
the screen here.
No problem.
Apologies for that. I don't know what happened. Okay.
Okay, thank you, and thank you for your patience while we fix this again. As I was saying, succession planning, we have seen our councils and sometimes they lose a volunteer suddenly or volunteer moves, and we have always recommended and encouraged our volunteers to have succession planning. Yeah, we all have a responsibility to plan for tomorrow. Have a plan for your community for 3, 5, and 10 years from now. Identify keen and talented volunteers and provide mentorship and development opportunities for them. And that's what we are saying. When you have elections and when you know there is a position upcoming for community coordinator or volunteer coordinator or registrar, definitely some of these key positions, it is a very good idea to have a succession planning in place for 3, 5, or 10 years. Now you may have a pool of your volunteers, members who have been helping you out for years in volunteering, coaching, or any other administrative positions, or your occasional volunteers. So feel that ground and mentor your volunteers for future. In 3 years' time, if a community coordinator is going to resign or it's coming up for election or treasurer is moving, because these, as I said, are key positions and we should have a succession plan to get these positions filled. Chris. So here we have one template that we have made. If you have this kind of Excel sheet running in your community and all council members have um, access to this, you could have it in your Google Drive or you can share it. And even during council position, all the positions, uh, community coordinator, treasurer, volunteer, secretary, and then what they're doing when their end term ends. Up next, successor. There could be a couple of names you think would be a good fit for this position. And then successors' level of experience, like what they know, in what position they've held, or if that helps their education, their interests, so all that. So you would have all that in your Excel sheet. And when a person from that position resigns or retires, you already would have a member that you could appoint, or you may have a couple of members to choose from. And here you could have your general notes put, was the role advertised outside or current community members? Will there be a transition period? So even it's a good idea to have a co-position, like co-community coordinator, overlap time. That way, existing volunteer or community coordinator or treasurer can train and mentor the person coming in. So I would always, and we recommend that you have a short overlap period for your new position. And if that's not possible, even then, this kind of Excel sheet would definitely work for you when you have everything laid out. And please share this with all your members, all your council members, and keep updating this list. So that way, anytime if a position is up, is as for it, a term is ending or a person is moving away or has resigned, you always have a plan B or fallback uh, information to move forward. Next one, Chris. It's again the Excel sheet, all that you can have on deck, ready in 1 to 3 years, level of experience, general notes. So this Excel sheet again can be modified to fit to your needs, your community needs. This is one example that we have given, but feel free to change this Excel sheet. And if you need more input or information, you can always connect with your PC. So I think I would leave you guys with this, that making successful communities, working on that, and having a foolproof succession plan is sure shot. Uh, I would say plan to have a solid council, community, and sports program running in the community and giving opportunities to our athletes and volunteers. Again, it's I think that whole sheet, Excel sheet, was not fitting into our as one slide. So if ready in 5 years, successor, sorry, level of experience. So you could divide this Excel sheet for 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years time, again with all the notes, job role, involvement, experience, and when would they be able to take it. Like sometimes volunteers do let us know their intention, that I may be from my job, I may be retiring, as I've heard from many teachers, and then I will be able to give more time to Special Olympics. So all those kind of notes would be really helpful to have on this sorry, Excel sheet. Sorry, excuse me. So we ready for any questions you may have. You can type in the chat or you can unmute your mics now and ask us.
Chris, it's Nancy Rissinen in Thunder Bay. I have a question for you. And it's relating to back to where you said that if you have coaches and parents on your community council, they should recuse themselves if there's a perceived conflict of interest. So I guess my question is, most of our Thunder Bay Community Council are either parents or coaches, and we have a small council, but we have a lot of sports and a lot of volunteer base and a lot of athletes. So I guess my question is, if I'm a snowshoe coach and I'm also a parent of a snowshoe athlete, and there's something that comes up about snowshoeing, am I to recuse myself, or am I to provide input based on being a coach and or parent, depending on what's coming up about it?
Yeah, that's a great question, Nancy, and obviously a tricky one that we definitely run into a lot at Special Olympics, because a lot of our volunteers are also parents. I think that the main thing here is to make sure that you're, first of all, disclosing any perceived conflicts of interest, and especially when we get into smaller communities as well, where there might only be a few volunteers on council, it's really hard because you need a quorum, right? If there's only 3 volunteers on the council, you can't have 2 people who recuse themselves. So I think, again, stating you have a conflict of interest, and making sure everyone on the council agrees or understands that but it really has to be a case-by-case basis. I don't know, Pratima, if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I would second what Chris is saying. In smaller communities, we do not have so many volunteer members on council, so we do need to fill the quorum, the number. But again, it would be on, we would review as each situation, depending on what that conflict is. If the conflict is, or the challenge, or that incident is involving that coach who is on the council and his or her daughter or son, then we would review it accordingly, right? If there is a conflict. Chris, were you planning to say something,
No,
Chris?
no. Go ahead.
So then we will review the situation, and then if we have to say this coach or this member at this time will not be able to participate in that committee, then you would have to kind of remove that member from that incident discussion. So as Chris said, again, it would be as per each incident we will review. We see one more hand up, definitely in small council. But as again Chris said, firstly, when a situation occurs, every member needs to disclose if there is conflict of interest. And if there is conflict of interest, that person can be removed from that situation and other members would follow up. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I just had one other question about that. So in my professional career, I have a conflict of interest that's been approved because I work with lots of Special Olympics athletes. I also work with finances. So do I have a responsibility to report that to Special Olympics, that I cannot make any financial votes or do any financial decisions on our local chapter based on my professional conflict of interest, or is that completely separate? So I work for the Ministry of the Attorney General, and I'm a public guardian and trustee. So I have some clients of mine are athletes in our local chapter, but I do not coach them. And then, but I also, because I manage finances for these people, I don't know if I have a responsibility to let Special Olympics know that I cannot make any athlete-based financial decisions at our Special Olympics stuff.
I think as long as the council knows, I don't think we need to do anything formal with the provincial office. Pratima, would you agree with that?
Yeah, if the community council knows, definitely you need to inform your council members and they need to know your position on that.
Okay, and they all are aware of that. So thank you for clarifying that.
No problem. Thank you so much. Great question.
Diane?
Yeah, I've got a question on the quorum. So we have each of our committee members, like we have a coordinator and we've got a secretary and a treasurer and everything else. And then we all have coaches that are also on the committee list, like head coaches that come to the meeting. Not every meeting coaches can come to. So would a quorum number be the amount of people that are there on the meeting night or on the list of community council?
So my understanding, Pratima, would be that the members of the board or the community, not the coaches.
Council. And again, there is this document, community operating guidelines. So every community has it adapted to their community, and depending on your size of council and all, they have their quorum and election statements there, policies there. So you can always fall back on them too.
Okay, I think our little program doesn't have any of that. So I'm just trying to, every time we have a meeting, if we have a major decision, we look at our meeting and we go, well, not everybody's here. So then of course that decision doesn't go through. And then the next meeting, we've had an issue where we don't have everyone there. So it's just trying to clarify it. As long as the head people are there, can they make the decision, or the people that are there at the room?
Yeah, so some community also, like yours is small, you're saying, so they have executive council and council. So some of the decisions are taken at executive level. And some communities again have given head coaches 1 vote. So yeah, so it would kind of depend on that too. And some councils do not have coaches attending, but other communities have head coaches having one. Each sports has 1 vote.
Okay, great. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
you two.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Diane. Appreciate your question.
Any more questions? Dan, your hand is still up. You have another question?
You're just faster than I am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I think that's it then, P. Thanks for attending our session today. We appreciate it. I know this was a very high level overview of planning for success in communities, but again, your program consultants or Pratima and myself are always happy to talk to volunteers and work out some of those issues that you have. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to help.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.